Nobody saw this coming, but the cameras don't lie. In a shocking twist that has the entire love and hip-hop world buzzing. Jim Jones has come forward with leaked receipts that could completely destroy Chrissy's image and her marriage. Was supposed to be another day of reality TV filming, spiraled into a jaw-dropping confrontation when Jim, tired of the whispers and backroom shade, decided to put everything on the table. And when those receipts hit the light of day, the truth was darker than anyone expected. Gasps filled the room, cast members froze, and Chrissy's husband suddenly found himself at the center of a scandal no one thought would ever go public. Now, fans are left asking, did Jim just expose the ultimate betrayal? Or is this another messy power play gone too far? The lights backstage had barely cooled from the last heated argument when a storm started brewing again. Love and hip-hop fans, know one thing for sure: drama never sleeps, and neither do the cameras. But even by their standards, nobody was ready for what Jim Jones was about to unleash. It all started with whispers. Quiet conversations in green rooms, hushed tones over cocktails, subtle smirks whenever Chrissy's name came up. For weeks, the cast had been buzzing with rumors. Rumors Chrissy dismissed as jealousy. Rumors her husband waved off with a laugh. But Jim had been paying attention. And Jim had receipts. When the production crews set up for what was supposed to be a casual filming day, nobody expected the energy to shift the way it did. Chrissy walked in with her usual confidence, her husband at her side, flaunting the kind of togetherness that screamed, "We're untouchable." But lurking beneath the surface was a truth that was about to shatter that illusion. Jim Jones had always been polarizing, Harlem legend, a man with equal parts swagger and stubbornness. But love him or hate him, you can't deny one thing. Jim doesn't bite his tongue, and when he feels betrayed, he fights back louder than anyone. So when the camera started rolling and the tension in the room thickened, Jim dropped the first bomb. Looking straight at Chrissy, his tone low but sharp. He said, "You might want to tell your man to come clean before I do it for him." The room went silent. Even the producers froze, unsure if this was a storyline twist or a real-life ambush. Chrissy's eyes widened. "What are you talking about, Jim?" Her voice trembled just enough to reveal that deep down she already knew where this was going. Jim leaned back, smirking. "Oh, don't play dumb with me. I got the messages, I got the photos. Kai, everything. And if you keep acting like you don't know, I'll show them right here on camera." Gasps echoed from the crew. Some cast members covered their mouths, others leaned forward, desperate for the tea. Chrissy's husband shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his confident posture suddenly cracking under the weight of Jim's words. "Stop it." "Jim, this is between me and my wife," he said firmly. But his voice lacked conviction. Jim pounced. "On the weakness, like a predator smelling blood. Between you and your wife." "Nah, see? You made it between all of us the second you stepped out and thought nobody would find out. You embarrassed her and you thought you'd get away with it. It's not while I'm around." The cameras zoomed in. This wasn't scripted. This wasn't a staged drama for ratings. This was real. Chrissy's voice wavered as she turned to her husband. "What is he talking about? Tell me he's lying. Tell me this isn't true." Her words cracked with desperation, her hands clutching the armrest like she needed to hold on to something solid before the ground gave way. Beneath her dot, Jim didn't wait for his answer. He pulled out his phone, scrolling with deliberate slowness. Before holding it up for everyone to see, "Look right here. Texts, photos, receipts. This man ain't who you think he is." The room exploded. Cast members leaped from their seats, crowding around to see. Chrissy tried to snatch the phone, but Jim pulled it back, taunting. "Don't worry, the world's gonna see this soon enough." Her husband's face turned pale, beads of sweat forming at his temple. He muttered, "It's not what it looks like," but the words sounded hollow, weak, like excuses that had been rehearsed one too many times. Chrissy's heart dropped. All the years, the arguments, the sacrifices, was it all for nothing? She had fought for love on national television, defended him against haters, stood by his side through whispers. And now, here it was proof that he had betrayed her. Not in secret, not quietly, but boldly enough that Jim Jones had the receipts to prove it. But Jim wasn't finished. He turned to the cameras, his voice rising with fury. Everybody loves to talk about Jim and Chrissy, about how I'm the bad guy, how I'm holding her back. But look at what she's dealing with. Look at what her so-called husband is doing. Y'all want to see the truth? Here it is. The crew scrambled, unsure whether to cut the feed or let it roll. Producers whispered frantically, some arguing it was too raw, too damaging. Others insisted it was gold. Reality TV gold. Chrissy stood up, her gown flowing around her as tears welled in her eyes. You embarrassed me, she whispered, staring at her husband. You lied to me, and now the whole world is gonna see it. Her husband reached for her hand, but she yanked it away like his touch burned. Jim pressed further. This ain't about me and Chrissy anymore. This is about respect, about honesty, and you couldn't even give her that. The words cut deep. For years, Jim and Chrissy's relationship had been the focal point of love and hip-hop. Tumultuous, passionate, explosive. But now the tables have turned. Jim wasn't the one under fire. Chrissy was. And her husband's secret wasn't just out it, was broadcast for millions to dissect. Backstage whispers turned into shouts. He really did that. Is this real life? Chrissy doesn't deserve this. The shock spread like wildfire, leaving everyone on edge. And then came the moment nobody expected. Chrissy's husband snapped. His voice roared above the chaos. You think you're better than me, Jim? You think you can sit here and destroy my life? You don't know what I've been through. Jim stood nose to nose with him, unflinching. What you've been through doesn't give you the right to betray her. And now, you've got to deal with the consequences. Security rushed in, separating the men before fists flew. Chrissy collapsed into a chair, sobbing uncontrollably. Cast members rushed to her side, but she pushed them away. The humiliation was too raw, too public. The cameras captured it all, every tear, every accusation, every shocking revelation. The footage wasn't just reality TV anymore. It was history in the making, and as the episode ended on a cliffhanger, fans were left reeling. What exactly was in those receipts? How dark was the secret Jim exposed? And could Chrissy ever recover from being blindsided like this on camera? The truth had only just begun to unravel. The fallout from Jim Jones's bombshell was immediate. The backstage atmosphere, once tense but controlled, had spiraled into complete anarchy. Producers scrambled, cast members whispered frantically, and Chrissy sat in the middle of it, all stunned, humiliated, and broken. But the real chaos came when Jim finally revealed exactly what those receipts contained. The phones were already buzzing. Word had leaked from the set to insiders within minutes, and fans on social media were already speculating. Some thought it was infidelity. Others whispered about financial scandals. But when Jim spoke, his words silenced the room. This man, right here, Jim said, pointing directly at Chrissy's husband, has been living a double life. If you want to play perfect family for the cameras, but I got proof. You've been sneaking behind Chrissy's back, not just with women, but with shady deals that could land you in jail. Gasps erupted again. Chrissy froze, her face pale, her lips trembling. What? What are you talking about? She whispered, her voice barely audible. Jim lifted his phone again, scrolling until he found the screenshots. Bank transfers, late-night texts, receipts of hotel stays with someone who ain't you, Chrissy. And conversations about money, dirty money, that could ruin both of you. The air grew thick. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Chrissy's husband tried to speak, his voice shaking. It's not like that. You don't understand, but Jim cut him off. Don't play me, man. I ain't no fool. You thought you were slick, but you left a trail a mile wide, and I got the receipts to prove it. The cameras zoomed closer as the cast members huddled around Jim's phone. The screenshots were damning. Texts to a woman with affectionate nicknames. Hotel receipts tied 2 nights when Chrissy thought he was working. And worst of all, emails discussing backdoor business deals, some linked to names that had already been flagged in investigations. The crew was stunned. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others murmured under their breath, "Oh my God, Chrissy doesn't deserve this." Chrissy's hands covered her face as tears spilled over. This wasn't just infidelity. This was betrayal on every possible level: romantic, emotional, financial, even legal. She looked at her husband, her voice breaking. "How could you do this to me? How could you do this to us?" But instead of apologizing, he snapped. Tone defensive. His pride bruised, he barked. "You think Jim cares about you? He just wants to embarrass us. Wants to ruin everything we built. It's not showing you the whole story, just the parts that make me look bad." Jim erupted. "Make you look bad? You did that yourself. Don't you dare blame me for your lies. I didn't force you to cheat. Didn't force you to take dirty money. That was all you." The argument escalated quickly. Chrissy's husband slammed his hand on the table, sending a glass crashing to the floor. The sound echoed through the room like a gunshot, making everyone jump. Security rushed forward again, but Jim shoved past them, his voice booming. "Say whatever you want about me, but don't you ever play with Chrissy like this. Not on my watch." The tension reached a fever pitch. For years, fans had watched Jim and Chrissy's relationship play out on screen, full of ups and downs, love, and heartbreak. But this was different. Jim wasn't fighting with Chrissy, he was fighting for her. And that made the situation even more complicated. Social media caught fire within minutes. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag Chrissy exposed. Hashtag Jim Jones receipts. Hashtag backstage bombshell. Fans dissected every detail, every screenshot, every frame of leaked footage. Some praised Jim for protecting Chrissy. Others accused him of meddling and humiliating her publicly. But one thing was clear: this was the scandal of the year. Backstage, the crew struggled to maintain order. Chrissy finally stood up, her hands trembling. Enough. She screamed, her voice cracking under the weight of her emotions. "I can't take this anymore." The room went silent. She turned to her husband, her eyes red and swollen. "I believed in you. I defended you. I loved you when everybody told me not to. And this is how you repay me. By lying, by sneaking around, by putting my entire life at risk." Her husband opened his mouth, but Chrissy cut him off. "No, don't say anything. I don't want to hear excuses. Not tonight, not ever." She stormed out, her heels clicking against the floor like gunshots, leaving the room in stunned silence. The cameras followed her, catching every tear as she pushed past producers and crew members. Jim watched her go, his chest heaving, his jaw clenched. For once, he wasn't smirking. He wasn't gloating. He just looked angry, hurt. Protective, turning back to her husband, he said quietly but firmly, "You messed with the wrong woman. And now the whole world knows it." The crew finally stepped in, pulling Jim away before the confrontation escalated further. But the damage was done. The receipts were out. The truth was exposed. And Chrissy's world had been turned upside down in front of millions. That night, the fallout spread like wildfire. Blogs exploded with headlines. Jim Jones drops bombshell. On Chrissy's marriage, receipts reveal betrayal, love, and hip-hop chaos goes nuclear. Memes flooded Instagram. Fans on Twitter debated furiously, some siding with Jim, others claiming he went too far. Meanwhile, Chrissy stayed silent. No posts, no comments, just silence. And that silence only fueled the speculation. Insiders revealed she refused to film the next day, locking herself in her hotel room and ignoring producers' calls. Some said she was considering leaving the show altogether. Others whispered she was planning to confront her husband off camera, away from the prying eyes of the world. But Jim leaned into it. He didn't post the actual receipts online, but he hinted. Cryptic captions, smirks in Instagram stories. Cue enough to keep the world guessing, enough to keep the pressure on, and that left fans with even more questions. If the receipts we saw on camera were that bad, what else was Jim holding back? How deep did this rabbit hole really go? As the dust settled, one thing became clear. This wasn't just a one-night scandal. This was the beginning of a war. A war between Jim and Chrissy's husband. Between loyalty and betrayal. Between love and survival. And Chrissy. She was caught. In the middle, forced to choose between the man she built a life with and the man who had just ripped the curtain back to reveal the truth. The stage was set. The players were in position. And the next move would determine everything. The world waited for Chrissy's next move. After storming out of the set in tears, she disappeared from the cameras, leaving fans, producers, and cast members in suspense. Social media boiled with theories. Had she packed her bags and left for good? Was she confronting her husband behind closed doors? Or was she plotting a fiery comeback? Inside the production trailer, the crew whispered nervously. "We've never seen her like this," one assistant said. Another producer shook his head, muttering, "If she quits, this whole season's done." But it wasn't just the show at stake. For Chrissy, this was about her entire life, the man she loved. The relationship she fought to protect. The image she carried for years. And now, all of it had been shredded in front of the world. Hours passed before Chrissy re-emerged. Cameras swarmed her instantly, and though her face was still stained with tears, there was a new fire in her eyes. This wasn't the broken Chrissy who had stormed out earlier. This was Chrissy, the fighter. Chrissy, the survivor. Chrissy, who had been humiliated too many times to stay silent any longer. She walked back into the room. Every step deliberate, every movement calculated. The crew hushed. Jim leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching carefully. Her husband, sitting at the far end of the room, looked up nervously. Chrissy's voice cut through the silence like a blade. "I want answers, and I want them now." Her husband shifted uncomfortably. "Chrissy, please, not here, not like this." "No," she snapped, her voice cracking with emotion but laced with steel. "You had no problem lying to me here. You had no problem humiliating me here. So guess what? You're going to tell the truth right here too. Right here too." The camera zoomed in. This was reality TV gold. But for Chrissy, it was real life unraveling in front of millions. Her husband finally spoke. "Yes, I messed up. Yes, I was talking to someone else. But it wasn't what Jim made it look like. It wasn't serious, Chrissy. Bend the money stuff. It's not dirty, it's business. I was just trying to take care of us." The words hung in the air, hollow, weak. Chrissy shook her head, a bitter laugh escaping her lips. "Take care of us? You call sneaking around and hiding money taking care of us? You put me in danger. You put my name on the line. And for what? For some side fling and a few quick bucks?" Her husband tried to reach for her hand, but Chrissy pulled back sharply. The rejection was so strong, the entire room flinched. That's when Jim stepped forward, his voice steady but sharp. "Don't gaslight her. Don't try to twist this. You broke her trust. And now you've got to live with that." Her husband exploded, his pride finally shattering. "And who are you, Jim? You think you're her savior? You've embarrassed her too? Don't act like you're some hero. You've had your share of lies and mistakes." The tension skyrocketed. For a moment, it seemed like fists might fly again. But Chrissy held up her hand, silencing them both. "This isn't about Jim. This isn't about the cameras. This is about you and me. And right now, I don't even recognize the man standing in front of me." Her words hit like a hammer. Her husband dropped his gaze, shame written across his face. Jim looked at Chrissy, his expression softening. For once, he didn't speak. He didn't need to. The look in his eyes said it all. I got your back no matter what. But Chrissy wasn't ready to lean on anyone, not even Jim. This was her battle. She turned to the producers, her voice firm. Turn the cameras off. The crew hesitated. Chrissy. Are you sure? This is, I said, turn them off. She screamed, her anger echoing through the room. The cameras cut, but the damage was already done. Enough footage had been captured to light up the entire season. Enough leaks had already escaped to dominate headlines for weeks. The truth was out, and there was no putting it back in the box. In the days that followed, the fallout spread like wildfire. Blogs dissected every second of leaked footage. Fan pages analyzed the receipts. Gossip sites churned out endless headlines. Chrissy betrayed again. Jim exposes the dark truth. Is this the end for Chrissy's marriage? Chrissy stayed quiet for 2 days, refusing to post or comment. When she finally did return to social media, it was with a single post. A picture of herself, no makeup, no glam, just raw honesty. Captioned, "Sometimes the hardest truths set you free." Fans flooded the comments with love and support. Some begged her to leave her husband. Others urged her to focus on herself. A few warned her not to fall back into this same cycle again. Meanwhile, Jim doubled down on his stance. He posted cryptic stories nodding at loyalty, betrayal, and protecting loved ones. He didn't name names, but everyone knew exactly what he was talking about. As for Chrissy's husband, he vanished from the spotlight. No posts, no statements, no appearances. Insiders claimed he'd been cut from filming, at least temporarily. Rumors swirled that he was lawyering up, trying to protect himself from both legal and public fallout behind the scenes. Producers scrambled to rewrite the season's narrative. What was supposed to be another run-of-the-mill love and hip-hop arc had transformed into the most explosive scandal in franchise history. Viewership projections skyrocketed. Advertisers leaned in. This wasn't just drama, it was a cultural moment. But for Chrissy, it was no show. It was her life, her pain, her reality. Late one night, cameras caught her leaving a hotel lobby with her suitcase in hand. Jim trailing a few steps behind. He didn't touch her. He didn't try to stop her. He just walked with her, silent and steady, like a shield against the flashing cameras. When reporters shouted questions, Chrissy stopped, her voice quiet but strong. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know this sigh will never let lies define me again. It wasn't closed. It wasn't a happy ending, but it was power. The image of Chrissy walking away head high, heart bruised but unbroken, became iconic overnight, a symbol of resilience. A reminder that even in the messiest chaos, strength can shine through. And as the world replayed the footage of Jim exposing those dark secrets, fans were left with one burning question. Was this the end of Chrissy's marriage or the beginning of her rebirth? Only time would tell. What a wild ride. From leaked receipts to dark secrets being dragged into the light, this saga between Jim Jones, Chrissy, and her husband has shaken the entire love and hip-hop universe. But the real question is, what do you believe? Did Jim do the right thing by exposing the truth, or did he cross the line by putting Chrissy's personal pain out there for the world to see? And do you think Chrissy's marriage can survive this level of betrayal? Or is this the final straw that breaks it all apart? I want to hear your voice in this conversation. Drop your thoughts, hot takes, and predictions in the comments below, because the debate is just getting started. Trust me, I'll be reading through every single one. If you're still rocking with me after all this drama, smash that like button so YouTube knows we need to keep bringing these stories straight to you. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next explosive chapter. With Jim, Chrissy, and the rest of this cast, you already know the chaos never ends. And hey, share this video with your friends. Let's get everybody talking about these receipts.